Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Zed, and welcome to this video. This is last week I watched number 16, and before we get into the week, America's on fire right now. I'm going to be very honest with you guys. For very good reason, America is on fire right now. I grew up in a very diverse community, and that was something that has been a blessing for me. Being introduced to so many different cultures and ways of thinking and people and religions and whatever it might be. And right now, there's this thing happening in America where we spout out all lives matter, but how can all lives matter when black lives don't? When a fire breaks out in a single house in a neighborhood, the fire department doesn't spray each house down because this one house is on fire. All the other houses are just as important, but right now, this one house is on fire. And right now, black lives are being treated like a house fire. A house fire that you just want to pour more gasoline on, and I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why? So to start off the week, I watched Straight Outta Compton, which is one of my very favorite biopics. Straight Outta Compton was one of the first DVDs I've ever bought. One of the first movies I added to my collection. And I remember exactly where I got it from. It was at Target, 15 bucks. And I was so excited because I had just watched it about a week or two prior. And I was like, man, I am in love with this movie. I got to add it to the collection. I went to Target, I bought it, and this baby has been front row and center on my shelf for a very long time. And going back and revisiting it, well, not much has changed, to be very honest with you. There is so much imagery in this movie that parallels almost... It's almost in sync with what's happening in our world right now. And it's crazy to me that not only have we not made progress in the last 10 years, not in the last 20 years, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, hundreds of years, we have not made any fucking progress. This movie is incredible. I grew up listening to NWA, Tupac, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre. My dad blasted their music on any trip we went to. If we were going to the corner store to pick up cigarettes, my dad was blasting Tupac. I love this movie. I love what it stands for. And I wish that I was watching this movie and saying to myself, wow, I'm glad we changed. But I can't. Straight Outta Compton. I highly recommend you watch this movie so that you can be witness to history that's never changed. Straight Outta Compton, 5 out of 5 stars. I can't get enough of this movie. It's absolutely fantastic. I watch clips on YouTube of this movie all the time. It's a fantastic movie with so much good music. So much good music. So, Straight Outta Compton. And then next up, I watched a movie called Mr. Church. It's a movie I've scrolled past on Netflix a couple of times and always piqued my interest because of Eddie Murphy. Now, I didn't know what this movie was about. I never heard of it. And while doing a little bit of research before I watched the movie tonight, I saw that the movie was not critically or commercially successful. And that surprises me. Commercially, it's kind of hit or miss, but critically, I felt like this movie was panned for really no reason. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I've seen Eddie Murphy in a lot of roles, and he's a genuine talent, and there's nobody out there trying to disprove that. I think this is my favorite role I've ever seen him in. His character doesn't need to say much to be very impactful. So, Mr. Church is a cook. His secret is jazz. He is a man of many talents, but also many secrets. And when he is hired to cook for a mother and her daughter after an estranged lover passes away, Mr. Church and the two women create a very strong bond. And Mr. Church becomes a father figure, a family man, somebody who can guide this young lady after her mother passes away. It's just a very, very powerful story spanning, many, many years. And I thought it was beautifully done. Mr. Church is a mysterious figure. He is very calm, cool, and collected. And when he's not, it kind of sends a bit of a fright down your back. I'm telling you, this movie is very special for Eddie Murphy's performance, but also just everybody's performances involved were really well done. I highly recommend this movie because I feel like it doesn't deserve the poor reviews it has gotten. But yes, it's a movie about a very strong bond, and a father-daughter relationship. So, Mr. Church, really, really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. 5 out of 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this one. Made me cry. And then next up, I watched Soul Plane, which is kind of a staple of my childhood. Not a movie that I necessarily watched, but remember when you were growing up and you had those like CD binders full of burned DVDs? Soul Plane was always one that found its way into one of my dad's collections. Like whether he was moving or if he inherited a collection, Soul Plane was always one of those movies. And getting around to finally watching it made me think about my times with my dad, looking through the DVD sleeves, finding what to watch. And usually I'd always pick something like Shrek or Finding Nemo. But yeah, Soul Plane, it's a fun time. I love Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart, so give it a watch. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, and it's pretty cheesy and pretty funny. And then next up, I watched See You Yesterday, which is a movie that came out around May of last year. And I had seen a lot of people reviewing it on Instagram and on YouTube and such. And the poster looked interesting, but I never really got around to watching it until now. And I can't believe I waited so long. This movie is really well done. To give you a basic premise, CJ and Sebastian are two teenage brainiac scientists who, for one of their school projects, they build 2 time machines in the shape of backpacks. And when CJ's brother is killed by a police officer, the 2 teens decide to use their new time travel capabilities and go back in time to stop CJ's brother's murder. Now, what I got from this movie is our country's past and present have never changed. And this movie used the use of time travel to showcase that. And I thought that was really, really smart. You get a little cameo by Michael J. Fox, who played Marty McFly in Back to the Future. Great Scott! The time-traveling elements can be a bit cheesy. I would say clunky, maybe. The visual effects, at least. But the surrounding story is so profound, and there's so many things that, you know, happen in a lot of other time travel movies, right? Like, you don't want to run into your past selves. You don't want to do anything significant that could change the timeline. And this movie deals with a lot of those things, but in a very life and death situation. There's a lot of things I would like to discuss about this movie, but I do think you should check it out for yourselves. It's just, there's very talented young actors in this movie, and I really want to see what they can do next. Hats off to the director, because this is one of those time travel movies that it's probably going to stick with me a lot more, because you expect a time travel movie to be, fun. Back to the Future, Hot Tub Time Machine, fun. But this movie was gut-wrenching, to say the least. See You Yesterday, 4 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. Check it out. And then next up, I watched Ride Along, starring Ice Cube and Kevin Hart. This is one of my favorite comedies. I've watched it at least once a year since it came out. And Ben is trying to marry James's sister. And James does not think Ben is a great suitor. Now, Ben also wants to become a police officer. So, 2 birds with 1 stone. He doesn't think he can become a police officer nor a good husband. So he takes Ben on a ride along. And this movie is great. It's so freaking funny. Kevin Hart, I'm telling you, like, I love Ice Cube. I think he's terrific in this movie. But this has to be Kevin Hart's best movie, in my opinion. I've watched probably every Kevin Hart movie, starting off with like the 40-year-old virgin, all the way up into like what? I haven't seen Jumanji 2. That's probably his latest movie. But I love Kevin Hart, but this is seriously his best role. He is so funny. The facial expressions, the little comedy bits, just the little details he puts into this performance. It's just the minor things that really, really get me going. Really, really get me laughing. Overall, Ride Along is seriously good. 4 out of 5 stars. And then I decided to move on to its sequel, Ride Along 2, which I don't own, but I've only seen once. I've seen Ride Along. This is probably my 5th or 6th viewing, and Ride Along 2 I've only seen once, and it's a good time. I really enjoy it. It's not as funny, but the duo of Ice Cube and Kevin Hart still is amazing, still is really, really funny. And then you get characters like Olivia Munn and Ken Jeong's character, which I feel like they underutilized Ken, I believe his last name is Jeong. But Olivia Munn's character was pretty good. Overall, I wouldn't say this one is as funny as the first one. There's a few problems I had with it, just very minor problems, mostly with underutilizing certain characters, and then some plots just kind of feeling a bit stale here and there. But you did get to see Kevin Hart get attacked by an alligator, which was pretty fucking funny. Ride Along 2, I give 3 stars. So yeah, I'm gonna go watch Central Intelligence. I don't have my glasses on. Screw it. I can't see a damn thing. Central Intelligence was the last movie I watched last week, and I have to say, I didn't like it as much the second time around. Now, I didn't hate it, but I remember when I first watched this movie back when it came out, and I had a friend who was kind of like shitting on it. He was like, no, I think that could have been better. And I thought to myself, no, that's really funny. I really enjoyed it. I don't know what you're complaining about, blah, 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 whatever. I kind of finally see it. This movie is not as funny, but it puts Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart in roles that I don't particularly see them in often. I enjoyed that aspect. Overall, I think it could have been funnier. The plot at the end, I feel like just kind of jumps forward like that. And I feel like, you know, there's a lot of buildup for not that big of a result. But there is a particular joke in this movie about stealing starbursts that had me giggling for longer than it should have. Kevin Hart still, I think, is an incredible talent. The way he delivers his lines with so much, like, honesty, and it's like something's actually happening to him. I absolutely love that. So that was Central Intelligence. I think I gave it 3 stars. I might go as far as like 2.5, but I didn't feel like I wasted my time. So, you know what? 3 stars. That's fair enough. Thank you, guys, for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And until next time, guys, I'll be seeing you later. Peace.